show? What do you say, yeah?
Next performer coming to the stage.
Next comic coming to the stage.
Your next comic is so damn funny.
One of my favorites of all time.
Oh, this brother right here, I love watching this.
I've been a fan of this man for years.
You've seen him on the Conan O'Brien show.
You see him on Comedy Central?
He's been seeing the Letterman show.
Countless fucking TV sets.
Multiple special tours all over this country.
Put your hands together. Make a lot of noise.
Keep that clapping going.
Give it up for my man Ted.
Ted Alexandro.
Thanks, guys. Let's keep it going for Will Sylvan. A hand for John Fish, Mike Yard, Ray Allen, Seton Smith, John Laster. Don't stop clapping, folks. I have a long list. I'd like to thank God. Thank you, guys. How are you tonight? Are you sure? Is everything all right? Has somebody hurt you? You know, we don't need to do jokes. If there's something you need to express, you know, we can do that. Well, guys, I'm excited. My wife and I recently celebrated our 2nd wedding anniversary. Thank you. Still early enough that you can feign excitement. Appreciate it. She and I have an 18-year age difference between us. My wife is 68 years old. So funny, I don't get it. Love knows no bounds. No, of course she's 32. I'm progressive, but I'm not that progressive. Because of the age difference, situations arise. Like I remember when I first met her oldest brother. My wife is the youngest of 5. When I met her oldest brother, he sat me down to have like a stern talking to the older brother talk. He's like, listen up, take good care of her, okay? But he himself is 10 years younger than I am. So he's like, yeah, I will, and I'll take good care of you too. Like, you'll all be taken care of. Because of the age difference, I have friends who feel that it's appropriate to present me with basic math problems. They'll say things like, dude, do you realize you're 50? That means if you have a kid now, when that kid is 10, you're gonna be 60. Yeah, I do know what 50 plus 10 is, thank you. If I didn't know that, I wouldn't feel equipped to bring a child into the world. Like, until you spoke up, my plan was to have the kid wait 10 years and see how old I was. My wife is very big on communication. She's always reading books, articles on communication, watching videos, and then she sends me the link. It's a weird way of communicating. But her latest technique, I'll share it with you, is simple enough. If you have a negative thought, you just cancel it. Sounds easy enough in theory, but now sometimes I'm speaking to her, and halfway through my sentence, she's like, cancel, cancel. Like, I don't think you're supposed to say that out loud. That just hurts my feelings. You take on different roles in a marriage, in a relationship. My wife has taken it upon herself to monitor my ear hair situation, which I was completely unaware was a situation, but she is on it. We're sitting on the couch at night. I feel her inching closer and closer. And then she yanks a hair out of my ear and shows it to me as if I'm a dog. She's like, bad, bad. I'm like, I'm twice your age. It's just biology. It is a very exciting time, though. My wife and I are expecting a baby December 28th. Yes. Thank you, thank you. Woo. Yes. That is our expectation. Whatever is growing in her belly right now is a baby. We're very excited about that. I am a comedian. She is an artist. So we're hoping maybe the kid can offer us some guidance, a bit of structure, even for the short term. Very exciting. We haven't picked a name yet for the child or a nationality. I understand Canada has free health care, so we might make a special Christmas trip up there and come back with an immigrant baby. Free of charge. I love America, but I also love free health care. So we've been discussing baby names. Right now our list is Logan, Kendall, Roman, and Shiv if it's a girl. We're binge watching Succession on HBO, so it could change in the next month. We'll see what we're watching late December. At least it wasn't last month. We were watching Peaky Blinders. The list was Polly, Tommy, and Aberama Gold. But, you know, it's very exciting. I feel somewhat anxious, you know, trying to be a good partner. My wife is somewhat hormonal. You know, she's in her 8th month of pregnancy, so I'm navigating that, figuring out when she wants to hear my opinion versus when she wants to hear her opinion in my voice. Not easy, friends, not easy. It's weird being the 3rd most important person in a house that only has 2 people. Oh, so what am I gonna do, folks? Life as we know it. Changing forever. We have a very good thing going. My wife and I, we watch British crime dramas. That's our thing. No judgment if you like American, but we prefer the British. Find it much more British. We don't know what they're saying. We have to watch it with subtitles, but we just feel more important and smart. They're like, I don't know what's going on. I think they're in law enforcement. We watch Broadchurch, Luther, Line of Duty, Great British Bake Off, which strictly speaking is not a crime drama, but I thought season 3 did end in a robbery. Brandon definitely deserved it in my opinion. My wife and I play this ongoing game where she adamantly insists that she does not want chips or chocolate in the house under any circumstances. And then I go grocery shopping, and invariably I buy chips and chocolate because I like those things, and I know that she does as well. And she gets very angry and says, I specifically told you I do not want chips and chocolate in the house. How could you do that? I say, I'm very sorry, it won't happen again. And then later that night, we're watching television, and I feel her inching closer. I know one of 2 things were about to happen. Either she's going to yank a hair out of my ear, or she will mumble almost inaudibly, well, since we have chips and chocolate, we're going to And then I go into the kitchen and fetch the chips and chocolate and lay them out before her, and then she starts to snack like a happy little squirrel, and she's like, this can never happen again. I'm like, it won't happen again. But it will happen again. That's the way the game is played. But my wife, she is, you know, it's weird. It fluctuates. She's very she's very effusive and loving, and then she takes a turn for the worse. You know, it's like if I had a Yelp page, she would leave the most glowing reviews, followed by the most scathing reviews, like the same username. People would be like, "Who is this woman?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know. It's confusing. I live with her." She is 8 months pregnant, so she's got like a bit of a waddle. She's almost like the sheriff. She comes walking in, kicks the door open. You pick up them cleaning supplies we talked about? Yeah, Sheriff, I sure did. I picked them up. I don't want there to be any trouble. Nor do I, Sheriff, nor do I. Yeah, no, I love being married. I love living with my wife. She scares me a lot of times. I've described marriage as like feeling like a kid again. You know that feeling like when you're in trouble, but you're not sure exactly why? It's like that. Sometimes I get yelled at for things like that kind of seem like inconceivable. Sometimes like just arriving home. I startle her. She's in the midst of something. The other day she was meditating, and I came home to where I live with her. And she yelled at me. She said, what are you doing? I was like, arriving home. And she's like, I'm meditating. I'm like, I think you're doing it wrong. Love her very much. She and I do not sext one another. No judgment if you do. We just don't sext. What we do is we send one another properties on Zillow or Trulia. That's like our dirty talk. We're like, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. You are a bad girl. Let's go, Sheriff. Or if we really want to get naughty, we'll send properties that are way out of our price range. We're like, 800,000? You are nasty. Who likes a big backyard? Who likes a big backyard? You do. I noticed that you do. When you buy a house, there are like questions you're supposed to ask. So I've been reading articles about that. They tell you to ask certain questions. How long were the previous owners living here? What repairs did they make? And then there was an article that said to ask, are there sex offenders in the neighborhood? Which I didn't feel comfortable asking that, looking the way I do. Like, I'd be like, babe, I think you better handle that. I don't want to be like, so, what's the competition like in the area? I want to get a handle on what I'm getting myself into. Right now, we've been visiting people who already have kids. That's our plan for now, just to get a sense of the terrain. We went to visit another of her brothers. He and his wife have twin 4-year-olds and a 1-year-old. And that almost pushed our timetable back to never. Wow, what an eye-opener that was. Literally every morning, the twins would burst through our door at 6 a.m. and jump in the bed. And at first it was kind of cute. We were like, oh, I guess this is just how they start the day. It's adorable. The second day, they came through again at 6. We just pretended like we were still asleep. But undeterred, they slid under the bed and just kept repeating, wake up, wake up. The third day, we just packed up and got the hell out of there. We had seen enough. So am I equipped? I don't know. You know me, 10 minutes, 5 minutes so far. What do you think? I am excited. You know, I mean, like, if I'm 50, if I'm not ready now, honestly, you know, when's it gonna happen? But it is exciting. You know, it was welcome news for many reasons. Mostly because we were trying and because I'd been experiencing erectile issues. Not the good kind, if there is such a thing. Is there such a thing as good erectile issues? Like, doc, you gotta help me. It's just erect all the time. It's getting to be an issue. No, mine were intermittent, which is not what you want, obviously, in your erections. You want them on demand, like your Wi-Fi, as many bars as possible. But alas, mine had become intermittent. So I've been taking Viagra, which helps with the situation, but it does take some of the spontaneity out of the amorous proceedings. It requires some planning. So I'll say, babe, I'm thinking of taking a Viagra. What does your next hour, hour and a half look like? And does the thought of me with a medically induced erection factor into how you see that going? I'm gonna need a hard yes. Or a semi-soft no. Sometimes even with the planning, it does not work out. One time I took a Viagra, about an hour went by, I said, babe, it's go time. She said, actually, I'm sorry, I'm not in the mood. Is it okay if we watch a movie instead? So then cut to me sitting on the couch with an erection watching Beauty and the Beast. Singing Perhaps There's Something There That Wasn't There Before. There's something sweet almost kind. But he was mean and he was crossing on your time. But now he is sweet and so much more. There's something it's even better with an erection. I'm not doing it justice. Really next level. It's always funny to look at the guys' faces as I sing the song, because you can tell the real hardcore Beauty and the Beast fans, as opposed to the guys who still have some emotional work to do. And I should add that it was the reboot with Hermione, yeah, Emma Watson. It wasn't the animated classic. Had it been that, I would have been hard right from the start. Anyway, that's a classic. This I needed a little, I need a little juice. But I am excited to be a father. It makes you reflect on life, makes you reflect on your own parents. I am the second oldest of 5, 2 very loving parents. But I think back the way we used to just like make fun of them all the time when we were kids. Just make fun of my parents. Like we'd make fun of my father for going grocery shopping. That was like what we thought that was his hobby. Like, Dad's coming home with groceries again. It's like, yeah, to keep you fucking animals alive. Feeding 5 of you on a teacher's salary. And my mother we would make fun of for being kind. That was it. That was the whole reason. She was like nice to people. Like, Mom's being nice again. My parents have been married for 53 years. Still love each other, yes. Great role models. I always used to wonder what their secret was to keeping things so fresh. And I'm realizing now, if I call them after a certain hour in the day, they're drunk. Just completely wasted. My mom picks up like, can't talk, here's your father, woo! It's like, I'm concerned, but I'm happy for them too. I do drink a lot of coffee and wine. The older I get, I feel like coffee and wine are almost like my life coaches. You know, like coffee's there for a pat on the ass, like, go get him, we can do this. And then wine's like, you'll get him next time. You gave it a good shot. Keep your chin up. Like, thanks, wine. You're the only one who gets me. So I am 50 years old, and so often you hear, that ages are the new something else, right? Like, 40 is the new 30, and, 30 is the new 21. I'm finding out that 50 is the new 51. Recently went up a font size on my phone. That was a big day. Man, who knew the answers lie in the settings? I was squinting for like 3 years trying to keep up with the kids. Right? I went as high as they offer. I went like top line on the eye chart. I'm reading articles a letter at a time now. It's like, it's an A. I think that's an F. Game changer. I've aged into the 50 and over vitamin section. I didn't even know that existed. You can't be in the regular section anymore. They push you out. All of a sudden, the directions get really ambiguous. It's like, take 2, take as many as 9. We have no idea. Your body is decomposing. Just keep shoving them in your face. This is uncharted territory. Let us know how it turns out. Oh, man. It's funny getting older, Because I'm not old, but I'm like retired from trying to be young. You hit that threshold. Find more and more things inappropriate. That's a word I barely even used to use, inappropriate. Now, like, every day I can't wait till I'm on the hunt. I'm like, it's inappropriate. Just constantly compiling a list to be submitted to nobody. Right? And if you see something inappropriate, there's usually like an elderly man in the vicinity who saw it like 10 minutes before you did, and he's like way ahead of you, young gun. You're like, yes, teach me your ways, master. I was at the gym recently. I was riding a stationary bicycle, and a song came on over the loudspeaker. Now, when I hear music at the gym, typically it's a song that I only hear at the gym. I don't hear it anywhere else. But it's like gym music. But this was the song that they played this particular day as I was on the stationary bike. These were the words. I don't give a fuck, bitch. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck, bitch. I don't give a fuck. And it just continued from there. And I just looked around like, does anyone else think this is inappropriate? Like, I was beside myself. I couldn't understand who would make such a choice. Like, and it's not about the language. I don't want you to misunderstand. It's about the environment. Like, if I'm at a club and we're having some drinks, it's like, yeah, you know, like that sentiment makes sense. Yeah, like, we don't give a fuck. Bitch, you know, whatever. But I'm on a bicycle. I'm on a pretend bicycle, trying to like get help. Like I have intermittent erections. I just went up a font size. I give a fuck, bitch. We all do. Like we're all trying to like outrun death. It's inappropriate. I mean, there's little kids, you know, like they have a nursery where you can dump your kids off. They're playing with blocks like, I don't give a fuck, bitch. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck, bitch. I did this music and comedy festival a while back, and those are always fun because you get to hang out with other comedians, like friends that you don't get to see that often. You get to watch them work. And then you get to also check out some music. So this younger comedian asked me if I wanted to go see this rap show. So I was like, sure. So I went, you know, and yeah, I mean, I'm 50 years old. I've been to my share of rap programs over the years. I know the basic terrain. It's going to be a lot of like throw your hands in the air and make some motherfucking noise. And there's going to be a list of demands. And I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with all of it. It's great. So that was what I expected. But this kid comes out at the beginning of the show. This is the first thing out of his mouth. Comes out, greets the crowd. He's like, yo, make some noise if you got the best pussy. And again, I looked around like, does anyone else think this is inappropriate? Like, I could not believe that's how you're gonna break the ice. Like, you've never met these people. Like, I felt so many emotions. I felt like old. I felt like jealous. I never thought of that. I mean, like I perform in front of crowds constantly, and it would never even occur to me to ask about your pussy. I would like, I didn't know that was on the table. Like, it's like the ground shifting beneath me. I'm like, what? And the thing was, everybody went bananas. Like I never heard so much noise. Everybody made noise. Like they had the best pussy. Guys, girls, it didn't matter. It made no sense. Even mathematically, like best is a superlative. Only one person should have been making noise. It was just a sea of lion pussy out there. It's completely inappropriate on a lot of levels. And again, like the concerts that I go to, they don't say those kind of things. Like, you know, James Taylor. Not once did he mention pussy, and looking back, there were a few opportunities he could have thrown it in, like, Not who's got the best pussy, but like how's everybody's pussy tonight? You know, like in his style, I was on a flight recently. I was seated in the exit row, which I take very seriously. For Americans, that's as close as we come to being knighted. It's like, are you willing and able? I'm like, yes, I am. If the need should arise by the powers vested in me, I do accept. So help me God. Take it very seriously. Give my verbal yes, make eye contact. The guy seated across the aisle from me as the flight attendant was giving the speech, he's on his phone, he's got it like in the crook of his neck, and he gives her a thumbs up. I'm like, whoa, 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 can we murder this guy? Like, inappropriate, like we are the Avengers of this flight, and this is the training. Completely inappropriate. So yeah, you know what I realize is I'm aging out of slang. The slang ship has sailed for me, and I don't really care. You know, that's a sure sign that it's time for you to move on. If like you hear younger people using a slang term and you don't care, that's a good phase of life. I heard a younger friend, he used the term thirsty. Front row, you all know thirsty, right? Everybody knows it. A couple rows back, you don't know. Thirsty. I didn't know what it was. My friend explained it to me. Because he was like, I don't want to seem too thirsty, man. And I was like, no, that's important. You should really stay hydrated. These days, you could cramp up, No telling what could happen. And he was like, no, man. Thirsty. Desperate. He explained to me, it means desperate for someone's attention, someone who you are trying to attract. You don't want to seem too desperate, too thirsty. And I said, no, that's actually, the word already has a meaning. And I'm going to stick with that one. But you kids enjoy, you run around and play with that. I'm trying to impregnate my wife, for Christ's sake. I don't want to seem too thirsty. I texted the wrong person back recently. I don't know if you've had that experience. I've got 2 texts in kind of a short period of time. I texted the wrong person back. The first text was from my brother, who was excited because the Mets were off to a good start. If you follow baseball, you know this text was about a month ago. When they were off to a good start. The second text was from my friend who told me that his mother-in-law got accepted to hospice care. It's a very different text and tone. I texted back who I thought was my brother. It's still early. You don't want to get too excited too soon. Luckily, my friend had a good sense of humor. I explained I was talking about the Mets, not his mother-in-law. And if all goes well, they'll both make it to October. It's going to depend on the defense. The good thing about Donald Trump getting elected, and there is just the one thing, is I can complain about Donald Trump, but I'm actually complaining about my wife. I can do it like, like I can sneak it in. I'll be like, fucking Trump has been so unreasonable lately. He just harps on the same shit over and over and over again. And it's like the person apologizes, but he doesn't accept. Gives me a little leeway, a little, like, get things off my chest, and then I cancel it immediately. I said, cancel, that was inappropriate, I apologize. I wasn't really aggressive. Donald Trump, right? What do we do? Donald Trump is racist. That's not debatable, unless you're racist. Donald Trump's the kind of person who says he doesn't have a racist bone in his body. Racists are always self-diagnosing their bones and coming back with a clean bill of health. They're like, yeah, I ran a scan on my bones and no racism. It's like, yeah, well, I think you might be a carrier. We're gonna have to run further tests. We have some questions. But he's not the first racist president. Come on, don't be naive. Pretty sure we've had like 40-something of them. He's just like going for the top slot. Did not vote for Donald Trump. I also did not vote for Hillary Clinton. I wrote in Vladimir Putin, and it seems to have worked out way better than I even imagined. The elections are coming up. We've had the primaries, right? The two debates of the Democratic hopefuls. The first 2 episodes of America's Got Candidates. So you want to be president? It's like the election cycle never ends now, right? It's just ongoing. People are always running. It's so exasperating because I don't really care about like the personalities, right? It's like it really is like you're watching an episode of like some contest show where like Gwen Stefani and J-Lo turning around in a chair like, oh, Bernie Sanders, what have you got for us? Right? Rachel Maddow and Chuck Todd should just be in chairs and turn around like 3 words or less. Why do you want to be president? I like Bernie, but I like Bernie the same way I like James Taylor. Every summer I go to see James Taylor with my family. We see him in concert. And you always hope that he's going to play Fire and Rain, You've Got a Friend, Sweet Baby James. Same with Bernie. He gets out there, he tunes up. You're like, I hope he plays Income Inequality. And sure enough, he does. He's like, there is a young cowboy who cannot afford health care. Like, yeah, sing it, Bernie. I've seen fire and I've seen rain. And if we don't do something about climate change, we're going to see a lot more of both. Like, yeah, all right, Bernie, I'm digging it. I'm digging your vibe. So I don't know if he's going to win. But either way, a lot of the other candidates are doing Bernie covers now. So it works out. It's like, hey, I know that song. That's Bernie's. It's the same lyrics. I know that song. People are being told to move to red states. So have you seen that? That's the new strategy. Progressives are saying we have to move to red states so that we can overcome this gerrymandering and take back elections. On paper, that's a good idea. But I think the only thing worse than your candidate losing an election is your candidate losing, and now you live in Alabama. I am not that on board with democracy that I'm willing to give that a try. Alabama recently banned abortion. I was reading about Alabama. I looked it up on the internet. I don't know a lot about a lot of things, but I do my research. So I Googled Alabama and I discovered, to my surprise, that Alabama was not a state initially. Initially it was known as the Alabama Territories. And then after a 2-year period, Congress enacted legislation that made Alabama a state. It took 2 years. But I thought to myself, when really does a state become a state? Is it too late to abort Alabama? Kind of a late-term alabortion? You can just slide Puerto Rico right in there, you know? It's, I think it's an easy fix. You still have 50. The flag still works. Me too. Time's up. Time's up. I support these movements, I should say that, fully. But I do find the name Time's Up a little odd, you know, like Time's Up, as if the problem was that rapists need a time limit. Like, hey, time's up. Oh, I'm sorry, is time, I didn't realize, is there a time limit? Usually I'm so good at following rules. Hey, could you not jerk off in front of us at work? Oh, I'm sorry, is time up on that? Again, please, I didn't see, was that listed in the break room? I'm usually... Guns. My stance on guns is admittedly a bit extreme. Not a mainstream point of view, I'll tell you that right off the top. I think if you want a gun, you should not be able to get one. No exceptions. I think wanting a gun is a bit of a red flag. You should be put on some sort of list. Just my opinion. It's not a mainstream point of view. But it feels good to say it.
So I don't know what the answers are. Some people say more guns. Some people say less guns. Some people say the exact same amount of guns. Doesn't seem likely to be the solution, but at a time like this, we have to listen to every voice.
Arm the teachers. That was some people's solutions, right? Wow. All right. I'm going to put that up on the dry erase. Any other suggestions? I realize I started the meeting by saying there are no stupid suggestions. But wow, Mr. President. Arm the teachers. Do you really want to give people who make $40,000 a year a loaded gun? You're just taunting them at that point. Like, you do have options. I taught elementary school music here in New York City for 5 years when I first got out of college. I taught K through 5. I was a music teacher. I taught the recorder. It is a damn good thing that I did not have a gun. I had some pretty shitty days in the classroom. But not once did I ever think to myself, you know what would really make this day easier? A firearm. When I say quiet, I mean quiet.
Arm the teachers. Can you imagine applying for a teaching position and leading with that? Just out of the gate, I want to let you know the two things I love most are children and guns. In no specific order, but if I had to pick one, it would be guns. But luckily, with teaching, I don't have to pick. I can combine my two loves into one very unsafe classroom environment. Do I get a second interview? Maybe we should wait until cops get the hang of firearms before we start passing them out to other professions. See how our educators do with a loaded gun.
Guns, what's going on with America? Crazy, right? These poor kids turned into activists, marching for their lives. Is there a fate worse than that, becoming an activist? Ugh. Right in the prime of your life, you have to go out in the streets, make a sign saying, "Don't murder me." Think about how much human potential has been wasted over the years on activism.
Some of our best and brightest had to give the prime of their life because they gave a shit about other human beings. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., think what he could have been. Maybe a doctor. So off the top of my head. Maybe a dancer. I don't know what his dreams were. His other dreams. A lot of people protesting. Famously, Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the playing of the national anthem to protest police brutality. Some people lost their minds, got irate about it. How could you? How could you kneel during that song? I say, go ahead, kneel. It's a long song. You've got a game to play right after it ends. But not during that song. It's one of many songs they're gonna play throughout the game. I'm pretty sure Who Let the Dogs Out is next up in the queue. And part of the problem is the way the news reports it, too, right? Because they skew it in a certain direction. They're always so wishy-washy, like, I don't know, is it disrespectful? There's no way of knowing, really. Like, why don't you just report it like a journalist might and say, like, today, in an audacious display of patriotism, quarterback Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the playing of the national anthem, as is his First Amendment right. Back to you, Bill. Thanks, Bob. Always great to see Americans exercising their right to nonviolent protest. And now, the lottery numbers. Have you ever read the words to the national anthem? Have you ever seen, we've all heard the song many, many times, but if you see the words of our national anthem in print, the words are basically, the entire thing are two questions. The whole thing, two very clumsily worded run-on sentences in desperate need of punctuation. But if I could summarize for you what these two questions say, it would be, has anyone seen the flag? Has anyone seen the flag? It was here last night, then there was a battle. Does it yet wave? It's like, hey, Rain Man, can you relax on the flag? There was a battle last night. I saw a guy without a head. We'll get to the fabric. I've been watching the March Madness. Ooh, yes, right? Oh, it's hard to look away. Every March rolls around and I say to myself, not this year. I'm not gonna get sucked into the madness. I don't approve. The NCAA makes billions of dollars on the backs of these unpaid athletes. I will not partake. And then a bracket finds its way in front of me and I'm like, I've never heard of that school, but I've got a good feeling. North Prairie, Dakota State is going all the way. As I say, the older I get, I find that my politics impede me having a good time basically anywhere. I went to the NCAA last week with my nephews. My brother got tickets, so I went with my nephews. And it's fun to go with them because then you see it through their eyes. You know, you can kind of put my Uncle Buzzkill perspective to the side. Because anything fun, Uncle Buzzkill can make less fun. In a hurry. So my nephew said he was rooting for Florida State. That's about what I expected. And he said, I hope the Seminoles don't get eliminated before the Final Four, because it would mess up his brackets. And I said, I've got bad news for you. Not only were the Seminoles eliminated, but the Cherokee, the Sioux, and the Iroquois have also been eliminated. Enjoy the game. Uncle Buzzkill strikes again. Just let the kids enjoy the game and have some popcorn. It's hard. I wish I could. I like to watch, there's this kid who's the projected #1 pick in the upcoming, is it you? In the, that'd be weird if he's here tonight. He'll probably be practicing somewhere.
The projected #1 pick in the upcoming NBA draft, his name is Zion Williamson. A lot of fans. It's a very powerful name, isn't it, Zion Williamson? You have to be special. You can't just work at a Pep Boys. You here to see Zion Williamson about spark plugs? No, Zion Williamson is, he plays basketball for Duke University, and let's try not to clap for everything I say, because it's really going to kind of cut down on what I get to say. I'm only up here for 15 minutes, for Christ's sake. I'm not recruiting for Duke, I'm just telling some jokes. I have no agenda, just your entertainment. So I like watching clips. I'll watch clips of Zion Williamson on YouTube, but I don't watch his current clips at Duke. I go a little further back. I watch the clips of when Zion Williamson played high school basketball because it's hilarious. He's the exact same size, and he's just destroying these little white kids. It is endlessly entertaining. If you ever need a palate cleanse from police brutality videos, watch Zion Williamson playing high school basketball. It is like a White Lives Don't Matter video. It is fantastic. It is like watching the scales of justice tip back, one dunk at a time. I recently watched the Wimbledon men's final. That was exciting. Again, I'm not like a huge tennis fan, but it just so happened that I was on a flight and I was coming home. I had a gig in Portland and I was flying back home to New York. That's about the right reaction. Kind of a tepid woo. Says it all. Lovely town, I'm joking. So I was coming home from Portland, and the Wimbledon men's final just happened to be starting on the television, and I said to myself, ooh, I hope the Wimbledon men's final lasts the entire flight. And sure enough, it was a record-breaking 5-hour men's final between Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer, lasted the entire 5 hours, and I was thrilled. But then I said to myself, wait a second, did I just waste my one wish on the Wimbledon men's final? What have I done? Could have I wished for a cure to my ongoing erectile issues? But instead, I wished that Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer would play for the duration of a flight cross-country? I could have had an erection the entire flight. Live and learn. The World Cup, everyone. I hope you're enjoying it. It's where the world comes together, except for America. As it should be. As it should be. We don't deserve an invite. America is not good at it. In fact, we came up with a different name for it, just to kind of separate ourselves. Like clearly we're not playing the same game as you guys. You call it football, we're just gonna call it soccer and try to figure it out. Countries that are good at it, they have players with a single name. Neymar, Messi, Ronaldo, right? Even the names let you know these guys are the real deal. America doesn't have guys like that. It's like Tyler. Tyler what? Doesn't matter. He's still learning. Still using his hands. He doesn't know what's going on. He means well. But the World Cup is important, especially in New York. The World Cup is very important for New Yorkers because it's the one time that we can gauge our neighbor's ethnicity with any kind of accuracy. Because I tend to paint with a very broad Mexican brush. that. It's like, oh, wow, Rodrigo, have you been Argentinian this entire time? My bad. But I can't help but feel slightly misled, Rodrigo. What else haven't you been telling me?
Am I the only one who thought the words to La Bamba were ba-da-da-da, La Bamba? Talk about being rocked to your very foundation. I was at a bar, I was watching a football game. Turns out the other half of the bar is karaoke. Somebody decides to sing La Bamba. We all make decisions in life. I glance up at the screen to do a lyric check, more for Soy Capitan than anything, but I notice where I expect to see ba-da-da-da, which is what I've been singing my entire life, I see a Spanish phrase, para bailar. I immediately say, people, they've got the wrong words up here. We all know it's ba-da-da-da. But I was mistaken. It is, in fact, para bailar, which means, Spanish speakers, to dance. Yes, in order to dance. That's what I discovered. You know what ba-da-da-da means? Same thing. Much easier to pronounce. I was so upset. I felt betrayed because I know I've sung that in the presence of Spanish speakers. Nobody ever corrected me. I'm out there putting it all on the line like ba-da-da-da la bamba, ba-da-da-da la bamba. They're like, ba-da-da-da, what the hell is this guy singing? I don't think that means anything in any language.
This is really why I'm here. Of late, I have had the distinct feeling, and I know this is odd, that I am being stalked by a dance troupe. It is a Chinese dance troupe called SHEN. And for the life of me, I cannot get away from their advertisements. Everywhere I turn, taxis, buses, the subway, I think they're putting them up as I walk down the street. Must see. Must see. SHEN, what is your advertising budget? Limitless? I got a mailer at my home. I'm like, SHEN, how did you get my home address? Must see. If you see only one Chinese dance troupe this year, it'll probably be one more than you've seen in your entire life. But make it SHEN. SHEN, relax. If you're that good, I'll hear about it from a human being at some point. That's how word of mouth works. Comes across a little desperate. SHEN, must see. I'm starting to think that's literal. It's like a ransom situation. Like I have to see, must see. We've got a member of your family if you ever want to see them again. I'm like, all right, SHEN, I'm willing to negotiate at this point. What will it I'm willing to do anything except see your show to make this stop. Love my wife very much. I remember the moment distinctly when I remember when I knew that she was the one for me. We were making our way home from our wedding weekend. I had a hunch prior to this, of course, but this solidified it for me. We were driving home. We got married in New Jersey, this little farm not far from where my wife grew up. Big celebration, 3-day wedding weekend. Our families all came together. I was exhilarated, I was exhausted. So as we're making our way home, rather than my usual 1 cup of coffee, that morning, I had 5. As we're on the New Jersey Turnpike making our way home, I'm starting to feel some percolation in my stomach, like a situation is developing to the point that I have to concentrate. Like my wife is talking to me, but I'm not really paying attention. It's like a role reversal. Somehow I make it home to our apartment in Astoria, Queens. I say, babe, I'm gonna run upstairs. I've got a situation. She's on her phone, preoccupied, so I kind of waddle my way towards the front door. I don't know if you've ever had like an all hands on deck situation where it's not just your ass that's clenched, it's your very soul. We live on the 4th floor of a 4-story walk-up. It was like my own Everest. Somehow it felt like every step closer to my destination was getting further away. I was going through the stages of grieving. I was in denial. I was angry at my ass. I was bargaining. The other stages. I was just happy with each floor that I made it to, that it was one less floor that would know that I had shit my pants. Somehow I make it up to the 4th floor. I don't know if you've ever had like a premature sense of celebration, like you get a little too self-congratulatory too soon. Because as I put the key into the door and turned it, I might as well have been opening my ass. Because my very first act as a married man returning home was to shit my pants. It was the most humiliating yet liberating thing I've ever experienced. It was like a metaphor for marriage. I immediately texted my wife, "Your husband just shit his pants." I had to phrase it like it was someone else, like, "Your husband's in bad shape. You might want to get up here." She wrote back, "Haha, what do you mean?" I wrote, "My pants are full of shit, and I'm still wearing them." What else could I mean? No sooner had I pressed send than my wife was in the room, laughing harder than I've ever seen her laugh, like on the floor, avoiding the shit, but just laughing and laughing. Then she snapped into like CSI mode. She's like, "All right, we're gonna secure the perimeter, take off everything you're wearing and throw it in the trash. We're gonna draw a chalk outline around your ass." I never felt safer or more loved in my entire life, and I knew then that I had married the right woman for me. Yes. Sickness and health snuck up on us a lot quicker than we anticipated. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Ted Alexandro.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very much.
Give it up for Ted Alexandro, y'all.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night.
We all want to be Ted Alexandro, everybody. Let him hear it. Oh, my God.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.
Ted Alexandro, everybody!
What a great crowd you guys are. Thank you.
How funny is Ted Alexandro, everybody? Oh my God!
Thank you.